interesting. My name is Robert. Those are various places you can find me at. I write nonsense at SA Dev. This year I started my own company called Good Name because naming things is hard and I'm terrible at it, so I thought I wanted a good name for a company, so that's what I went with. We build products, it's kind of fun. And I also run DevConf, which is a conference much like this one. I just noticed that this is here in the middle of the screen. If I minimize that, yeah, there we go. Cool. It's a conference. It happens once a year in Johannesburg and Cape Town. It will be in May 29th next year. It's a big one-day event. We have about 700 of your closest friends hang out with us. We talk about all things tech. We're not a Google event or a Microsoft event or anything like that. We are an event for developers. The agenda is picked by the community. The speakers are from the community and so on. And we have awesome things like massive swag bags full of t-shirts and jackets and things. I'm very excited. We're doing new stuff for next year. It's gonna be great. We have, if you are in a position to convince your boss to sponsor, sponsorships are there. But hopefully, maybe some of you feel like you would like to speak at an event. So we have our call for speakers open. We cover all your travel, all your accommodation, wherever in the world you're from, if you're watching this online, or if you're here in Cape Town, you want to speak at DevConf, we'll fly you to Joburg, you can speak there. I mean, nobody wants to go to Joburg, I understand that. But, you know, come on, we'll fly you, we'll give you great dinners, it should be fine, it's a good trade, I guess. So that's my salesy pitch. Today I'm gonna talk to you about pain points in JavaScript. I don't know about you, but this week particularly, is the feeling I have, right? Like it's the end of the year is coming. I'm kind of not sure what's gonna land, what's not gonna land. It's tiring. Like I can feel the tiredness. And you know, we're not at the fun part of Christmas yet either. We're at the shitty part before the fun part. And JavaScript's like that, right? As well. Like this is from the JavaScript annual survey. And they kind of looked at various things of what is crap in JavaScript. So build tools are crap. They're really hard. There's things like configuration, preference, performance, things like that. There's various JavaScript runtimes that are available, which we'll talk about just now. There's TypeScript and JavaScript, and that's hard. But this one here, the one at the bottom is the most interesting one for me. You can't really see it in this room, but that says Webpack. More people hate using Webpack today than like using it. I might have voted 300 times for that in the survey myself, but that's a different, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's accurate anyway. Because it's hard, right? It's really painful. So what I hope to do today is give you some stuff to make it better, right? I'm not suggesting go away and just implement all of this today. I'm going to show you a bunch of things. Hopefully it challenges some assumptions. Hopefully this puts you in a mindset of like, hey, this is shit today, but tomorrow it can be better. It will be better. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make JavaScript 20% better together today. I don't know why it's 20%. I picked that number at random. You know, like all good stats. So let's start off at the beginning. How do we code today? Like, what is our process? Start with get clone. When I built this, I thought that there is nothing wrong with that one. If you have used get large files, large file support, that one's tricky enough by now. So maybe I need to do a talk one day on Git. But 10 today, we're not going to touch Git. Git is just magic, right? npmi, right? Get clone npmi. We install our stuff from npm. We fire up Visual Studio Code because that's what we all use. Then we ask Copilot or Gemini or Amazon Q or Frank in the office next door, or if you're a developer who's old enough, you have a rubber duck and you pick up the rubber duck and you say, the rubber duck, how do I fix modules? I love that idea of having a rubber duck on your desk so much. I put one on my arm because shit, now when I'm out, I'm like, hey, should I have another drink? The duck said yes, cool. Nothing can go wrong. Eventually, we figured out modules. We figured out the stuff, then we can run TSC. And then that takes out TypeScript and spits out some JavaScript, and then we can run Node, and then we can profit, right? Because that's what we're here for. We need some money because we're going to pay for the servers or something. I know that's what we're doing, right? So that's what I'm thinking. We're going to touch on everything except for get clone, because I think most of this needs to be touched. And the first one is npmi, and as you well know, it can bloat your machine a bit, right? It can be a bit slow. And there are other choices, and this is kind of what we're going to see a lot today about there are things to do to make life better. But holy crap, like, what is this list? Like, how to try to figure out which one you want. Hopefully today, I will show you some of that. So let's do some package management. I know, exciting web stuff. I promise we'll look at a browser at some point. Bring up Visual Studio Code there. Right, so what I have here is, that's when I get here. Let's go into my demos. Oh, people at the back, I have a job for you. If this is ever hard to read, just yell. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I said at the back earlier it was a bit tricky. Hopefully this is readable, but I do rely on some, audience participation here. So cool. I have a simple empty folder here, right? Oh no, I don't have a simple empty folder. Let's make a simple empty folder, right? CD demo. I like the command line. Hopefully you're all fairly comfortable with like the most basic things. Cool. Now, one of my favorite things I use every day is a tool called Node Version Manager. If you're working across multiple projects and that will have different versions of Node, it can be quite painful. The Node Version Manager, install 20. Maybe it'll actually install. Let's not install 20 because the internet might be slow. Node Version Manager use 20 rather. There we go. So this will now mean that when I run commands, so if I do node dash version, I'm on 20, right? Nice and simple. If I wanted to go to 16, and I have a project that I've actually been working on recently that uses 16 of all things. Wow, it's so slow today. There we go. Now I'm on 60. That's super cool. It makes life very easy. The other cool thing with this is that you can create a file. So if you're not using the command line, all I'm saying is write 22 to that file, right? So I've written that there, and look what happens. My console actually picks up what version of Node I am using from that, and I'm using the right one. And then every time I change projects, it's using the right one. Really useful. I once interviewed at a company, and they loved my code so much. The first thing they said was, "Oh, we saw you had a Node version file. We knew you were probably okay." I was like, "Cool." No, people like weird things. All right, so we're on Node 22, latest stable. Let's create some npme stuff. Hopefully the internet is fast enough. If you are sitting here watching TikTok, please stop. I need bandwidth. We'll just accept everything here, like whatever. Cool. So now we have a Node project, right? And what do we have in a Node project? Package.json. Like, that's what we get. Package.json is kind of simple. It just tells us what we have here. And then we can add stuff to it. So let's add this without that. Let me come here. This is a project I've been using. This is a really cool date library from Adobe called Internationalized. If you're ever struggling to work with dates and times and durations, I'm finding this quite nice. This is not really, I'm not here punching Adobe, obviously. Their stuff's crazy and ridiculous most of the time, but their code's pretty good, it seems. Right, so here we go. Let's move that up. So people in the back can see, we have now added that. We have a lock file, which says like all the dependencies on my dependencies and so on. We have a package, and we have a node modules folder. And that's cool, right? Like, that should be feeling, if you're in this room and you're doing web dev, kind of what you're used to, right? Yeah, nice and simple. How hard is it to switch to these other ones, right? So what about Yarn, which is a different package manager? Yarn has been around for a while. I've used Yarn in big projects very successfully. Let's remove the package lock for the moment. And if you want to start using yarn, you just install it and then you type yarn, and it uses the same package.json as you're already using today, right? Nice and easy. It's having to rework out everything here, and it's done. It took 11 seconds. If we have a look in here, we have a yarn.lock file. Nice and simple enough. And if we want to try something else like pnpm, nobody knows what this P stands for from what I can work out. Some people say performance, some people say puppies. I don't know. I hope it's profit, because clearly that's what we're here for. So you can type pnpm I, just like you would with Node, because it tries to be very similar to Node. Yarn tries to be a little bit different, tries to re-implement stuff. pnpm does it the same way, does it in its own way. Again, we can have a look in here, and it also has a lock file. Actually, if we have a look in here, let's fire up Visual Studio Code. That looks, that's fine. There we go, nice and big. So if we look at the yarn file, it's kind of similar. That's the pnpm one. It's in YAML because they wanted that. I mean, nothing here is crazy, right? Like, and it still uses your node modules folder, right? Like nothing different there at all. Really nice and simple. But there's another option, right? So pnpm is one. It's really easy to switch to. You just do that, and it tries to be the same. Yarn, similar. But there's another one called bun, and bun is pretty interesting. So let's run bun install. Again, uses your package.json file. You don't have to change and learn new things. It does all of that. Cool. I'm glad it's printing out my auth tokens on the screen on a live video. That's totally not going to be a problem. Wow. I'm going to go change auth tokens after this talk, I guess. Anyway, cool. So now we have here, we have a bun lock file. Bun's got a different mandate. If we click on this, Visual Studio Code tells me to go away because it's not even text anymore. It's a binary format. What's really cool with this is what bun does to, so you saw that in terms of like performance, that was about 8 seconds there. When we did pnpm, it was about 5.3, yarn about 11. Bun's goal is to be as fast as possible, like super, super fast, super compatible. And so let's give it a test, right? So I'll bring in a line of code here before we run that. Actually, let's clear that off the screen and we'll put that there, so it's at the top. This one's a tool called Hyperfine, which is just, you want to do benchmarking on your command line? Hyperfine. Like, just pnpm. Every single time we do it, we'll delete the node folder, and we'll run that a bunch of times. And so this one will go, this takes a few minutes. I don't know what the answer is going to be because I don't know how the internet's going to play out here, and oh, thank you. I feel bad for the people who have to watch my face on the tiny little camera here. I'm like, what? That is not flattering. Cool. There we go. So that was way more exciting there. So fun one here. It was twice as fast as Yarn. It was almost twice as fast as pnpm, and it was almost 6 times as fast as npm. Like, if you just want to install stuff faster, Bun's a pretty good option. The other cool thing with Bun is it doesn't use the node module folder in the same way that you think npm does. So npm grabs the files, puts it in the node module folder. Next project grabs files from the node module folder. You have like millions of these. Bun creates one folder on your machine, puts all the files in there, and then does symlinks over. So you save a huge amount of disk space. And if you need to install, if you've already downloaded it once ever, it just symlinks it across. It is exceptionally fast to work. So yeah, that is there. So that's package management. There's not a lot there, but hopefully it can save you some time. I've kind of been thinking about how to do this. How do I recommend what you should use? I've just shown you a bunch of tools. I haven't told you what's good. If you have a current project that's making use of Webpack and you're using npm, I would say go to pnpm. Super compatible, super performant. Like, it's like a nice, easy move. Takes no time to really change, and you can like just add 1p into all your code. I just said you could add 1p into all your code, and it's just like one tiny little green thing going. Anyway, yeah. If you're using Yarn Classic, there's a Yarn Modern. So Yarn Classic was a build they brought out, like V1. There's a V2 called Modern, much better. And if you're using Yarn Modern pnpm or Yarn pnpm, which is another one I haven't shown today, stick with those. They're pretty good, right? Like, you don't have to just jump to everything all the time. But you'll see here, I'm not recommending npm. What if you're a new project, right? So let's say you're going to start a new project today. Are you going to stick with Node? Yeah, you're sticking with Node. Yeah, pnpm. That's what you should kind of use. It's where I've landed now for all my new projects as well. And if you're not going to stick with Node, there's something called Deno. And that might feel weird, right? Like, not sticking with Node? Like, Node is it, right? Like, if we want to run JavaScript, it's Node. What else is there? Like, this blew my mind when it started to happen. It's like the idea of like, I just would always have a Node project. It would always be there. And actually what it turns out to be is there are lots of different runtimes available. Node is one. It's built on top of V8 from Google. It's amazing. It's the most popular. And it's the most popular reason. It's really, really great. But there's Deno, which we'll talk about just now. There's Bun, which we've seen a little bit of, but we'll talk about more. There's WebAssembly, which my friend Ewald Horn, who's also been banned from speaking at Google events for some reason. If you do find him, ask him about it. It's a funny story. But he's got a talk on WebAssembly, which is amazing. There's JavaScript and Quick.js, which are runtimes designed for performance and being really small. If you want to, like, if you're working with IoT devices and you want a JavaScript runtime in like kilobytes of space, like Quick.js is really awesome. And then there's LLRT, which is from AWS, which is their high performance JavaScript runtime. So there are other options available. And today we're going to look at two. We're going to look at Bun and Deno. We'll start with Bun because why not? So let's jump back here. Let's have a look at some code and bring up my notes. All right, so here we are. We're in our demo folder here. Actually, what I'm going to do, let's go out of here. We'll go one up and we'll, actually, I've got a performance folder. Let's go work in there. Right, so code in here, please. Boom. Right, so what we're going to do in here, hopefully not too crazy for anyone, is we're going to create a JavaScript file, index.js, console.log, hello devfest. Cool. right? Like this is the smallest, simplest thing you can do, I suspect, right? And now what we can do in here is we can go bun. Oh, this thing's still in the way again. Go away. Bun index.js. There we go. Look, it ran it, right? Bun under the hood, by the way, uses V8, same as Node. So it's pretty good compatibility. Where this gets really cool, though, is we can actually take this index.js file and just change it to a TypeScript file, all right? And now you know, if I was to do, like, actually, I haven't even tried this. I am going to do stuff that's not in my script. Oh, that worked. Wow. Oh, that's because it's like, that's about as simple as it gets, right? It didn't care what the extension was. Anyway. Bun will work with TypeScript just as well. We'll get to some more interesting TypeScript in a moment. It didn't look at that. Interesting. What is a good TypeScript? What is a TypeScript only thing? Let's put some TypeScript in here that will freak out something. No, bad Node. This will freak out Node, right? Because Node doesn't have interfaces. I don't think. Doesn't much I do. Huh? Damn you, Node. Somebody give me something that's like a TypeScript only thing. Const x is equal to hello type parameters string, like something crazy like that. Wow. Hey, damn it. All right, just pretend I didn't do a shitty demo there. And button just works, right? Like it just works fantastically, which is really awesome. So how compatible is bun to things? This is a project called VTop, right? VTop has not been updated for a decade. Literally, the last update was June 2014. And I'll just run it here. This is running with Node. Missed that. It's just a really cool graphical process monitor, right? Like I can see what's powering all my bandwidth and network and CPU and memory, right? Like it's just cool. It's a decade old. It was built for Node, I think like Node 8 or something. It's, yeah, nothing too crazy here, right? Let's have a look at how we migrate this to bun, right? What we do is you change that command from Node to bun, and it just works, right? Everything just works the same. It's nice and simple. Bun is really, really, really easy to migrate to. Let's have a look at something a bit more complex, right? So let's go here and let's fire up this. So this is OpenMCT. This is built by NASA because let's have some NASA code in a talk, right? We'll fire up this. And this is it's a management dashboard. So if you've ever seen anything like, these space movies where they all sit around and they're like mission control and they have all these screens on, this is what this is. This is a bit small, actually. Let's make that bigger. Hey, come here. Why did I make sound effects there? Why? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so you can see it's currently kind of doing stuff there. It's having all its cool stuff on. We're currently using all the fuel because the thrusters are currently turned on. It's really, really awesome. And we're running with Node. This is what it's built for. So if you do want to get into space development, there's a cool open source library for that. Let's have a look at running this with bun. Bun. Cool. Same thing. Like example spacecraft has launched. Okay. Let's go here and refresh. And it's not working. Right? That sucks. Oh, look at that. Like all kinds of cool errors there. It's crashed out. Thankfully, through the power of practicing this beforehand, which you should always do, and that's the best way to succeed at work, is know what you're going to do and then, then pretend to do it. If we just add into string here, there's a weird thing here that bun can't automatically toString this object. So we have to. Right? And now if we go in here, go back, hit refresh, There we go. It all works. And we can even, oh, why is that engine off? Turn our thrusters back on. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So switching to it is not, I don't want you to go away here and go like, oh, cool, we're going to switch to Bun. We're going to get performance improvements. It's going to be super easy. I went to the conference and I saw the thing, and then 3 weeks from now, you're at my door at 2 in the morning going like, what is wrong with you? Why did you tell me about this? Nothing works, and my boss is angry. Like that, you might run into some weird things. I have found moving projects from Node to Bun to be fairly easy. It's not, there will be some little things like this from time to time, but it really is very simple. And it's still the same JavaScript, TypeScript things that you know and love. So yeah, let's go back here. We'll kill this server here, and we'll move back to our perf folder. And I thought I'd show you something else now. So what I wanted to do here is kind of get some idea of performance, because at some point my talk title had performance in it, and I don't know, you know, it was a good idea at the time. And so what I've got here is, let's actually start with, yeah, that one. No, let's start with this. So here is some JavaScript code. Zen mode, geez, thanks. So JavaScript code is a simple piece of JavaScript as I could write with Node. It's 6 lines. We are reading a file, and then we're writing it to the screen, right? Like that's it. How fast can we do that is the goal of this, right? So this is the Node version, pure JavaScript, using just that. And if I bring up, I have a Bun version, which, you know, kind of, actually, let's bring up both here. Come back here. Let's work here. So you can see, kind of the same, right? So Bun not only can run just normal JavaScript Node stuff, I can run this purely in Bun, but it also has its own things to make your life easier, to make things better, to improve performance. So it's not too hard. Your favorite AI helper, if you were in Yoshin's talk earlier about pair programming, suppose you can be like, take this JavaScript, make it use all the Bun stuff. I do that all the time. Really works quite well. So let's have a look at this. So we're going to run Node. We're going to run this. And the file I've got here, because again, let's be weird and fun, is a virus. This is a virus. Not a computer virus. This is E. coli. This is the genetic algorithm for E. coli. I thought that like a pile of nonsense text on the screen would be fun. And come on, now you can all say you got a virus here at the event, and we can all have funny jokes about it, right? No? Okay. Right, so if we do that, boom, there we go. Like, that was pretty fast. Nicely done, thank you, Node. And Bun's version, just to show you that actually works. Same thing. To the untrained eye, about the same, right? Not too interesting. Let's have a look at running this here. Now you get to actually see Hyperfine, because this doesn't download anything. So we're going to run this. Did I literally? Oh, there we go. Every time I bring up Hyperfine, the internet goes away. Cool. We're going to run both a bunch of times. Now you get to see what actually Hyperfine looks like. And yeah, Bun ran 2.5 times faster. Just changing your writing time, like 2.5 times. Then Node. Really, really awesome. So not only is it faster with package management, we saw that it's like 5 times faster, twice as fast running code. It's compatible, mostly compatible, really quite useful. But yeah, as I mentioned, mostly pretty high compatibility. One of the goals of the Bun team is high Node compatibility. Module support just works, whether you're using imports or acquire, it just works. It knows how to deal with both. You don't have to fight about it. Full support for JSX, TSX, TypeScript, all first class. So if you're working with React and things like that, nice and easy. It has its own bundler for web, so you don't need to use things like Webpack. It has its own test runner, so you don't have to use Jest, just there in the box. It has its own web server with WebSockets and routing and everything you need in a web server. And it has a cute icon, mascot of a cool little Bun. Though every time I look at that logo, he looks a little bit suspicious, right? Like, it's not just me. There's something a bit evil in that smile, right? I don't know. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but it was cute. But now that it's really big on my screen, it's not so cute. But But that's fun. Let's look at Deno. Right, so here we are again. Let's bring up this. And we go back to our code here. Clear screen here. And so just to recap, we've got an index.ts file we created earlier. So let's just run that. Hello devfest. Nice and simple, right? Deno is very similar to Bun. It's like another runtime. In fact, it also uses V8. So Node, Bun, Deno, all use V8. The difference is kind of what they write their code in. So Node is written in a lot of C++, which is great for it. Bun is written in Zig, if you're into that sort of cool things. And Deno is written in Rust, which is a really fast way of run programming language. If you want to write like low-level things that run really fast, it's in there. Deno's goal is Node compatibility, but more than Node compatibility, the web compatibility. And I'll show you my favorite trick with this, right? Who here has ever had to do, oh, that's not the right one. Hey, can I have this one, please? Who here has ever had to put color on text in the command line? Anybody? Nobody? All right, I'm the only old person. Got it. That's fine. I kid you not, I actually had to, where is my other window here? Right, I actually had to go look this up because I can never remember it. You have to do shit like this. What the hell is this? That's a color for foregrounds. So I can go and take that. I pop that in there. And then if I go back here, now it's red. Cool. Like this system of what we call ASCII colors has been around since the 80s. You can totally smell the 80s on that nonsense, right? And if you're going to work in Node, you want to do colors, I mean, you're probably going to get a library from npm like a normal person, but the people who build the libraries have to deal with this crap. And it's just nonsense. Shouldn't our tools use the best systems out there? So let's have a look at what Deno helps us here. So remember, I said Deno wants to be compatible with the web as much as it wants to be compatible with Node. So we can do %C, which says, actually, what does C stand for in this? That's a great question for myself. And I add something in here. Is there anybody here who knows CSS? Set a color with CSS. Come on, shout. Color, come on, right? Anybody got a favorite hex code for a color? What? We're not doing all hex. That's a boring color. Oh my gosh. All right. I don't know if that's a good color. Right? Wow. Some people here have no imagination. Boom. Oh, look. That's quite a nice purple. It's a bit dark. That percent holds Deno to use web CSS filing. It's quite cool because you can even do shit like this. Decoration, underline. And now it's, ooh, let's make this, you know what, actually, it's too dark on the screen for me. Let's make it yellow. There we go. That's obviously how this should be. So why are we doing this crap when we have CSS? So simple, so nice, very demure, very mindful. Right, so what about actually starting a Deno project? You know, this is a web track. We should do some web stuff. If you would like to set up, so Deno is very easy to start with. If you'd like to start, there's a Deno init command that will spin up a Deno project for you. There's also a Deno run. And I quite like this. I've got a pre-built one here. This Deno run, create an app using some preset things. Look how fast that was, right? Now, if I go into here, Vite project, I go Deno install or Deno I. That's how fast Deno is. Deno run dev. Now, none of this is prepped, right? Like, I don't have any of the stuff, like, this is not pre-built. You just watched everything. All the files are brought down to my machine, everything. That's how fast it is to get up and running with React and Vite on Deno. And it's still the same code, you know, right? If I go into this Vite project, which didn't exist before, I can grab anything in the source folder, like the CSS is still the CSS, the TSX is still the TSX, right? Like, it's still the same stuff that you know, right? There's a byte config. Absolutely the same thing. If you want to start working with Deno, it's really, really easy to do stuff like that and build websites. Cool, let's go back here. Where's my code? And Deno, like Bun, also has some cool extras. So Deno has, this is the same as before. We saw the Bun one, which won twice as fast as Node for reading and writing E. coli to the screen. Here's the Deno version. I quite like, Deno.open, that's how you open a file, right? And open it in read-only mode, and then pipe it to the screen. That's quite cool. Should we have a look at how that looks, right? Let's go here, and this should be fun. So Deno not only tries to look at, we want to be Node compatible, we want to be web compatible as well, because web has one. It also wants to be safe, because Node is actually quite unsafe. First thing I'm going to do is, okay, we'll do this one. Deno, we'll run this. And what the hell is it done here? Right? It's asking for permission to read the file system. Here's the fun thing with Node. Node can do whatever it likes on your machine, and you can't stop it. It can read anything. It can output anything. It just messes with all your stuff, right? Deno is secured by default. It is made for production systems that are important, that are going to change the world, that you will build. And you don't want some hacker injecting some shit on your machine. So it asks for things. Here it's asking to read a file. We'll just say yes to that, and then it spits it out on screen. Super nice and easy there. Maybe we don't want to do that every time. We can just tell it, allow, and it'll just allow itself every time. So there are options for that. You can configure that in a lot of easy ways. Let's have another look at a different solution here. Let's create a new file. And I'm going to bring in some code here. And actually, let's do it slightly differently. Make dir Deno. Let's make a Deno folder here, because I want to show you some stuff here. And I want a nice, clean folder. I don't want you to think I have anything up my sleeves except a rubber duck. So, empty folder. Okay. Let's just open up a fresh Visual Studio for this as well, which is opened up over here. Cool. And what I want to do in here, I have done nothing. So there's nothing in here, no command line stuff. We'll create a TypeScript file, and I'm going to bring in some code. And let's go Zen mode here. And actually, we could maybe bring that down a little bit. Yes, I quite like this. I'll show you. Cut off in the right spot. So what I'm doing here, I'm calling OpenAI. Because I am. It'd be really good if I had a Gemini license and free usages. I'm just saying, in case anyone knows anyone who could help. I don't. So OpenAI. And I'm asking it to give me a joke about a duck and a programmer, and we'll app that put it to the screen. If we were to do this with Node, the first thing you would have done is npm install or npm add OpenAI, right? And I haven't done that because Deno supports URLs. You can just have URLs. It's super. It's kind of weird that you can just have these things and put them there. We'll look at some more of this in a moment, but that is pulling from there and getting OpenAI down. And yeah, we can go back here and we can go Deno index TypeScript. I've done nothing else. Ooh, hi. Deno, why are you not doing it? Oh, did I not save? Saving. There we go. What's it doing here? Okay. Asking for permission. It's asking for permission to read my environment variables because I have secret keys, as you saw on the screen earlier in environment variables. It's asking to do network requests to OpenAI because maybe I don't trust sending data out. And it comes back with a joke of why did the duck become a programmer? Because he wanted to take a crack at coding. If this was Gemini, it'd be so much better joke, right? Cool. So like we have that there. This is pretty cool. You might feel, and I quite like URL stuff here, because for me, the thing that comes to mind is not this. It's if I build little utilities at work, I can just put them on a server somewhere and everyone in my company can easily get it. And I don't have to worry about how do I run my own NPM repository and all kinds of crap like that. You also might be like me going, that seems like insecure as hell. And I've just told you how secure this is, right? Because somebody can just go change that. And then the next thing this uses Azure. And well, you know, we don't want that. Deno does, if we go back to the command line here, we can go Deno add npm, because I want to get this from npm, OpenAI. And what it's going to do, now it's doing some downloads, to do all the dependencies. Cool. And if we have a look in here, we have our code, we have a lock file, and we have a JSON, a config file. We'll have a look in a moment, and that's it. No node modules. They don't exist here. Now we can actually just change this to be npm OpenAI, right? And we can rerun the demo again. Oh, not that one. I want that one. Deno-a index. There we go. Why did the duck become a programmer? That's the same joke. Oh my gosh. Give me something funnier. There we go. Why did the programmer bring a duck to work? Because he wanted to implement crack coding practices. Oh, no. Anyway, we got that from npm. There's no npm, there's no node modules here, right? What's it done? Like with Run, where it has one folder on your machine and everything goes in there. You're using the same libraries over and over again. They take up one piece of data now instead of everywhere you're using them. And it stores it there. We also have a deno.json file here. So if we bring that up, just to show you what it looks like, it kind of looks what you'd expect. It's just got imports, right? So you can set this up, commit this to your code repository, and your team can then go deno-i instead of npm-i, right? Nice and simple. Nothing too weird there. Yeah. Now, you might be going like, when you did this, though, is this. Why npm? Why have this thing of npm there? Because the team at Deno, and I'll put this out, Ryan Dull, the guy who created Deno, and if you know who that name sounds familiar, because he created Node. Deno is effectively Node version 2. It was his thing of going, everything that sucked in Node, I'm going to fix in Deno. And when he was doing that, he was like, you know, the whole world relies on npm. And npm sucks. Can't we do better? And so he's created something better. This is his newer thing. It's called JSR. It is a package repository, like npm. You can put packages there. It's really, really nice to work with, right? It fully supports TypeScript out the box. So when you're working on it, you don't have to do all kinds of weird compilations. If you've ever built a package to put on npm, you have to and you've worked in TypeScript, you actually have to compile it and then upload the compile bits, and you have all these weird things. Here, if we have a look at the files in here, this is the one I built previously, that's it, right? I've got a license file, a README file, I've got a Deno.json file, some examples and so on. Here's the source code for it. This is just TypeScript. You'll see I've annotated it with some JavaScript comments. Nothing too fancy here. But that's it. That's the whole thing. The whole module is this. And so you can put that up there. It understands that as a first-class citizen. It understands how to read README files. So I've got cool README stuff here. If we go to docs, it has documentation built in that it's pulled from my code. And so it has all of that built in. It has versioning. What I really like with this, it also has a scoring system, so you can trust things. So it will score these, like has it got a README file? Has it got symbols? Is it using, I don't know what slow type is. That's the new one they've added recently. I haven't seen. Does it have provenance? Like, is there a way to track this back to GitHub so you know that this is the actual SA Dev Rainbow version as opposed to somebody who steals my code, right? All of that's there. And not only is that, not only does it support Deno, which over here, hopefully a bit small, let's make that a bit bigger. It also supports npm, yarn, pnpm, and bun. So if you want to pull from here, let's say you are using npm today, or Node today, there you go. That's how you add my code from JSR to your Node project. Or using your favorite tools here, right? Like, it's all there. Super, super easy to work with. Really is nice and as sort of a game changer in my mind. Let's go back here. Let's create a new file. And just to show you how this works, actually, just start on the command line. Hi. So here I'm going to deno add JSR. And this is the same project. And so now it has baked in support for multiple repositories. You don't have to be locked to one. And if you feel that JSR sucks, build your own cool thing and then can add it in here, right? Like, that freedom, that I think is very key to open sourceness. And yeah, cool. And so we'll bring this into here. Save this as, let's call this hi.typescript. Cool. And I'm getting a feeling my time's running out, but that's fine. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, perfect. Cool. So we're going to run this. Oh, I should show you here. So I've added that in. You'll see there, it knows. I didn't have to put the JSR here because it has some assumptions about where things. Actually, no, I do need to put JSR. Sorry, slightly older code. You put my JSR in here to say it comes from there. And you can see here, it's going to do a network request to my website and then print that out. And this will print out, if we run it, a duck that says, "I love you, Miss Duckworth," who's a famous AI duck. It looks really bad on there. Hopefully in the recording you see it look better. So that's Deno. It is Node compatible. Version 1 of Deno was no iffy compatibility. Version 2 has been out for about 3 weeks now. Node compatibility was the big thing. It has some, it's ES modules as a default. So you'll see here, actually, if I go back to the code, I'm doing imports. If I do require, it will yell at me because it is opinionated. Require is not the future. Imports are. You have to use ES modules. However, if your dependencies, the code you rely on, uses requires, that's okay. It actually is smart enough to know this is my code and that's dependent code, and they can use it. Naturally, JSX, TSX, TypeScript, we saw that with the quick React one. It comes with a full ecosystem. It has a benchmarking tool built in. It has a unit test tool built in. It has code coverage built in. It has a linter. It has a formatter. If I want to make my code formatted, it is literally as hard as Deno format. Actually, move this to top screen. Deno format. There we go. My code is now formatted. It will look correct and respect my line endings and things like that. And you can override those. It has built-in docs support, so you can actually type demo docs and it'll spit out a doc file. The one I skipped over is executable compiler. If you would like to build executables that you can just take and give to people that run on Windows or Linux or on Mac, there is that there as well. As I mentioned, it loves web standard APIs. We've seen the secure by default. It also has a full web server that was running our React one as well. And it doesn't have a creepy logo, which I think really does matter a lot. It just has a cute dinosaur. How do these look performance-wise? This is from a blog post that compared Node, Deno version 1 and Bun here across a number of metrics. Bun was faster on average for performance. I don't know why I've got those coming in there. This is from a really cool YouTube video. There's a link, I'll share the slides, that compared Deno 2 against the latest version of Bun and Node. Pretty much Bun does win, but it's not massively here. The really interesting one that you can't really see here, this green line is Node. You can see it sort of caps out at about 50,000 requests a second. Like, that's as much as the server could handle. Deno gets up to 77,000 requests a second, and Bun gets up to 86,000. Just moving from Node to one of those, you're already getting like a huge, like 50% performance improvement. Or your service can do 50% more. We've got CPU usage, it's kind of the same over time, memory usage. These green lines are Node falling over because it couldn't cope anymore. And the last one here, this is from Deno themselves. Wow, it looks terrible on the screen. There are gray lines somewhere on here. What I wanted to show you here, this comes from Deno. Everything here says that Deno's faster at all these things. It's faster than Bun and it's faster than Node. I'm just showing you two other things that say Bun's faster. Like, this matters on how you use it. This matters on performance. This matters like what libraries you're using. It matters all the structures. My advice is, like, the performance stuff's kind of miffy. Bun and Deno are faster than Node, guaranteed, no matter what. Who's the faster between Bun and Deno kind of depends on how you test it. And if you're at like Deno marketing, it's Deno. And if you're at Bun marketing, it's Bun. And if it's at Node marketing, we don't talk about that. So yeah, so hopefully you've seen some cool stuff today. We've looked at Yarn, if you're an npm, and Bun for package management. We looked at Bun and Deno as alternative runtimes. And to give you an opinion, and we looked at JSR as a package manager. Hopefully this gives you some inspiration to look at, there are alternatives that can make it a lot easier. You're not having to work so much. I actually build all my new code in Deno. I trust it that much. I use Deno for that. If I'm on a Node project, which I still have some Node projects, we use pnpm. It's really, really awesome. So let's hopefully wrap this up now. Hey, yeah, cool. We're on like this last slide anyway. So how do we code today? Now that you've spent all this time with me, however long it is, how do we code? We start still with git clone. But step 2, we know we don't just do npm. We challenge our assumptions. We go see if we can make things better. Step 3, you go and adopt a rescue dog, because even when your code sucks and doesn't compile, a rescue dog will love you forever, especially if you poop their snoot. I have 3. They're the best. They will love you. If any advice, all my advice is pretty crappy most of the time, but that one works. It always works. Please don't compare your highlight reels to your Google Reels to highlight reels, especially to mine. I have spent many hours preparing this, right? I have a second screen with notes on it. I'm not this good. I just pretend, okay? You are as good as I am with the practice that I've done. Don't compare yourselves. You will be great. This stuff's not that hard, and you can do it. I promise you, right? And thank yourself, right? You came here today. You gave up your Saturday. Thank yourself for trying to make JavaScript 20% better, right? And because it's still capitalism. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, there's a QR code eventually that you can scan and give you millions of links. And yeah, I don't think we have any time. Maybe we have time for one question. But yeah, otherwise I'll be around. Anyone questions?
I can go fast. You did mention that's like from time to time you switch between Bun and Deno. But then, like, do you find that like Bun is, Deno is more stable than Bun?
All right. So people on the live stream, the question is like, I switch between Bun and Deno, and do I find that Bun is more stable than Deno, or Deno is more stable than Bun? Look, Node is probably so I have a lot of projects that are old that run on Node. Node is super stable. Everything works with it. It's really easy to get going. Like, there are still good reasons to use Node. And I can't justify spending a whole bunch of work to move something over to kind of where it's not going to add value. And it's super stable. Bun versus Deno version 1. So if you asked me this a month ago, I would have gone with Bun most of the time, because Bun was better than Deno 1. Deno 1 was a bit flaky and had some weird things. Deno version 2 has been out for 3 weeks. It's a game changer. I am not going to do stuff on Bun anymore. Like, unfortunately, like, Bun has lost to me. Your mileage might vary. Maybe you like Bun. Cool. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not going to work for me. And I found Deno to be rock solid.
Then you write that module yourself on JSR.
Did I write the module? Yeah, I did the module on JSR.
What's the process to publish maybe
to publish this?
It's like a long.
No. The process to publish the module on JSR, I wrote in reality, this took me about 3 hours from start to finish. I'd never done any JSR, right? Like, never, ever. I didn't even know how to do it, right? Deno project, like, I did the Deno init. I got a Deno.json file. I had to make sure I just added an exports to point to my source code. The source code, is just normal TypeScript. Like it literally, there's nothing fancy. It's just an export, just one export. Everything else is internal, right? And yeah, like there is a command to publish it. So I signed in with my GitHub. It attached it. I signed in. I ran the command. You'll see that I actually have 3 versions here because I learned as I went. So version 1, right? This version here, I wonder what does the score update per version? No. So this one I think didn't have everything. I wanted to get 100% score because I thought it was quite cool. So I think this version, version 1 didn't have like docs and so on. And so all I did here was publishing took me 10 minutes to figure out and set up. And then I went through this and it was like, oh, you don't have docs. And there was links. And then I read that and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I just did that. So yeah, from start to finish, literally 3 hours. The next one that I do, because I haven't done this for 2 months, it's probably going to take me 3 hours again. But yeah, super easy to publish to JSR. Yeah. Sure. So the question for the live stream is, how long will it take for companies to switch to newer tech? It's a hard problem, right? Because you've got to justify it financially to move tech. I think the best example I can give you is the move from C++ to Rust that's been happening. So Rust has been out for a few years. It is now used in the Linux kernel team. It's used by the Windows kernel team. You can see it's being used by Deno. There are a lot of older projects still being built on C++. There are a lot of people who still need C++ skills. But like newer stuff happens. And so kind of in my mind, what will happen is over time, the Node stuff will come down and the Deno stuff will come up. I would expect probably 5 years before like Deno has a comparable market share. On at least for new projects, like 5 years, new projects, like at least Deno's winning there. We're gonna have Node for the rest of our lives. Like Node's not going away. It's so baked into our core of JavaScript development. There's gonna be stuff around it forever. But yeah. Yeah, again? Would I recommend new developers learn Node first or go Deno first? I would recommend you learn TypeScript first because they all use TypeScript, right? I would recommend you learn how HTTP works and DNS and plumbing like that before these things, but that's fine. I think if you are, Node skills are essential. If you are looking for a job in the market today, it's probably Node. But if you have Deno on your CV, it's going to set you above them. So if you can put, I am an expert, I am solid in Node, and I'm like, I've played with Deno and I've worked it and I've got a couple small projects on it, that's going to elevate you.
Okay, cool, guys. Let's give Rob. If you still have questions, feel free to.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Questions we have.